actions that she wants to create, and how can we help make this pose a little bit more even for her, okay? Most people, when they first start doing downward facing dog, are gonna feel like it's all in the arms. Like that's normal, because most people are really tight. Most people are just waiting. They're just waiting for me to like, yes, to have my dissertation before she's there for like 5 minutes. Most people are going to be really heavy in their arms because the hamstrings are really tight. Okay, that's the end of the talk. Okay, come from child's pose. Yeah. So when she comes into the, okay, so before she even comes into the pose, so just stay here for a minute, okay? Because I want you to get really good at looking, okay? So now, because child's pose is the setup for down dog. Why is it the setup for down dog? Because you can really see what's happening in the arms, and you can teach what needs to happen in the arms here prior to going into downward facing dog. So when you look at her arms, what do you know already about Jennifer? What's a point on the alignment in the arms for down dog? So Jennifer.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Call her Jennifer.
Her arms should be going outward.
So just tell me, what's a point? What do you?
Her hands should be shoulder with distance apart.
Okay. So shoulder width distance apart. Does that look shoulder width distance apart?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Good. Now, okay. What's interesting? What I'm noticing, and I'm going to just point this out because a lot of you might not see this, is that her hands are doing this. She doesn't know what I'm talking about because I don't want her to know. But her hands are doing this, okay? And her arm is doing this. Mm-hmm. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I don't want the hand to do this. I want the arm to do that in the shoulder. You get that? Mm-hmm. Do you see how this is doing this, the hand and the wrist is doing this? Okay? So, this is where we need to make the change, is here, not there. Because if somebody just turns the hand out, it doesn't mean that they're going to turn the arm out in the shoulder. Mm-hmm. Those things, it's like when you're in Warrior 2, when you go into Warrior 2, you can't just say turn the foot out. You have to say turn the leg from the hip out so that the foot faces forward. Turn the arm out at the shoulder. Right? And in doing so, the forearm and the hand will do what?
Go out.
Will go out. Okay? But we don't actually we want the forearm and the hand to turn in and down, and the upper arm to turn out. That's the counter action.
What about telling her to press her
Index
and thumb down? That might be the start.
So look forward, Heather, for a second at your hands. See how your wrists are going this way?
Okay.
Can you point your finger straight forward in so that the center of your wrist lines up with your elbow and your shoulder. Good. That already looks better to me. Yeah. It actually changed your shoulders a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just that, did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that feel weird to you, Heather?
Nope.
Is there a reason why you turn them out? Or do you just, are you doing that because your shoulders are tight?
No. I was just processing earlier instruction and I overdid it.
Oh, you overdid it. Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
I just gonna want to say, I keep repeating her because she started here.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
So I overdid it for
repeating that from here, you have to turn your palms. You cannot start to turn your shoulders if you hear it in that way.
Got it. Yeah.
So I guess it's over.
Got it. Yeah. So, but does everybody understand how you can just turn the wrist out without turning the arm and the shoulder?
I think a point of alignment that's good is wrist creases
Yes.
parallel to the front of the mat. We haven't said that.
Yes, that's a good one. So wrist creases parallel with the front of the mat. Point your middle finger straight forward. That's
Not
another one.
index, huh?
Nope.
Okay.
Point your middle
All right.
finger straight forward. Okay.
All right.
Line up the center of your wrist with the center of your elbow with the center of your shoulder. Arm, shoulder width apart. Okay, good. Okay, that looks more even to me and a little bit better. Okay, now, that's just the alignment. Okay, arms are straight. Good. Okay, now, what's an action of the arms? Yes. Externally rotate the upper arms and the shoulder as you turn the forearms in and press down with the index and the thumb.
And does
Yes, that's really hard, everybody, by the way. That is not an easy thing to do. Don't expect that to come right away. That's really hard, okay? Yes.
I was gonna ask, does that external rotation
Yeah, you can
here actually come from here?
Yeah, it does. It comes from the
Because I
shoulder,
found when I
blade.
tried to
Yeah.
just turn the head of the arm
Yes.
bone, it was causing a lot of strain.
Yeah.
It's like,
So, yeah.
it's really the shoulder blade.
It's the shoulder, yeah. I wasn't really going there just yet, but like, yeah, that's totally what, because the movement of the arm and the shoulder works directly in connection with the shoulder blade. This is why this is such a complex mechanism, okay? So if there's a lot of tightness or weakness in the muscles here that create this, what we call scapular stabilization on the back, then, yeah, a lot of impingement can come into the shoulder. So come on up for a second, Heather, before, let's do this with everybody, so before we like go into this, okay? Here's what I want you to do is bring your right arm forward, wherever you are, and put your left hand onto the bottom tip of your shoulder blade. Can you feel the bottom tip of your shoulder blade? So you feel like run your fingers like down the very bottom of the shoulder blade all the way into the inner part of the shoulder blade, and then the outer part of the shoulder blade. Okay, so you're just really aware of, that's what we call like the tip of the scapula of the shoulder blade. So like right here is where you are with your fingers. Here, okay? Feel that part. Okay, now keep your fingers there on that part, okay? And turn your arm bones. I want you to really feel what happens to your scapula, to your shoulder blade, when you turn your arm out in your shoulder. Not your forearm and your hand and your wrist. Turn your arm way up at your shoulder. Turn your arm. Okay, your forearm and your hand's gonna turn, but don't rely on this. Like, okay? Somebody could just hold it there, be steady, and like turn your arm and your shoulder. What happens to your shoulder blade?
It moves down.
It moves down, and what, does it do anything else?
It goes up.
In. It should go in. Yeah, so what you should be feeling is that the shoulder blade pulls down and moves in closer to your spine.
Yeah.
Okay? When you externally rotate your arm and your shoulder, your scapula should go down and in towards the medial part of your body, towards your spine. Okay? So what Valerie was saying is that if you really think of turning the arm from there, from those muscles in your back, not just like, you know, but like really getting the rotation way up here in the shoulder blade, you'll have a better time of it with your, you know what I mean, rather than just that makes
Yeah, because I was doing it a lot in the first weekend, just turning the arm bone, and I got really inflamed.
Yeah,
And then I was like, whoa, it's actually the shoulder that moves.
it's the shoulder.
And then the arm bone goes with
With it,
and
yeah.
then you spiral out.
Yes.
And that helped me a lot to understand that I wasn't turning at the top of the arm.
No.
I'm turning at my shoulder blade.
Yes, you're turning your shoulder blade.
Yeah.
It's probably much more specific. So does everybody get that? Okay, so put your arms out like you're in downward facing dog. Okay, so here you are, arms forward, wrists are flexed. Wrists are flexed, fingers spread, arms are shoulder width apart. Okay, now, when you start to externally rotate the arm, do it from your shoulder and don't let your forearms and your hands move. Don't let this move, keep that steady. And literally try to wrap your shoulder blades in and down. Draw your shoulder blades in and down. Okay, so that what occurs is your chest broadening and your arms turning out. So you feel it's a much deeper action. Do you get that?
So is that what you, like, that's an example. What I'm interested in is like what we can say to people who don't understand. Externally rotate, like
Yeah.
putting it in that kind of jargon that's accessible.
So
So
here's-
would you say, you know,
Here's the thing, in the beginning, you're just gonna say, it's gonna be enough to just say, straighten your arms, put your hands down and stretch back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, unless there's a real, like, car crash that's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, and what I mean by car crash is like somebody's like in down dog with this. You know what I mean? It's like a real car crash. Don't worry about it for now. This is for your knowledge to really understand the mechanics of what's happening. So that when you look at somebody in a pose, you're like, ah, I know what's going on. And And then from there, you can work to instruct them a little bit more intelligently and give them the proper adjustments, okay? Because yeah, you're not gonna be like, externally rotate your arms in downward facing, externally rotate the humerus bone, and then you're not gonna use that language, okay? Unless you're an anatomist and you love that and you're gonna actually teach people what that means, fantastic. But most of you aren't gonna do that. So, what I said to you earlier is I said, put these two things together. Broaden the chest. Okay, so bring your arms down by your side. Okay, when your arms are just hanging there, okay, what is it's easier if you stand up, I think. Okay, so if your arms are just, when you're standing there, if your arms are just hanging by your side, okay, just really be present to the position of your shoulder. So forward, right? Right, if you're just present to it, that's the normal position, is the arm to roll forward and down. Okay, now, all I'm going to ask you to do is broaden the distance between those two shoulders. And there it is. Okay? That's a simple, so, because what happens when you do that? What do you feel happens when you do that? Shoulder blades come together, and the arms start to, oh my God, miraculously start to turn out a little bit, okay? Because yeah, if you get people into too much of that like manipulation of the arms in there, it can cause like some inflammation in it because they're trying too hard and not really understanding the shoulder, what the shoulder blade is doing, okay? That being said, in downward facing dog, once you start weight bearing on your arms and giving those instructions, people don't know what is going on. Because it's so much harder when you're weight bearing to really feel that. You can feel it in child's pose because you're not weight bearing on the arms. You can manipulate. Like when you're standing here, you're like, oh yeah, like I get it. Now I'm going to downward facing dog, and you're like, you know, because now you're weight bearing and you can't do that same kind of thing. So make sure you're not overdoing that action as well, right? Okay, so Heather, let's come back again. So come into child's pose. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a really important and valid point, okay? So to simplify it now, Vanessa, okay, what could we say to her instead of saying, first of all, we can definitely say, straighten your arms. Yes. Spread your fingers. Press your hands down into the floor. Yes, and as she presses her hands down, you see her arms just went, they just like really activate. Okay, those are really simple instructions, okay? Now, broaden your shoulders, Heather. Wow, look at that. Do you see how that just, wow, it's like magic. Like it just started to turn out, okay? Now just leave it alone, okay? She looked, right. Okay, that looks good. That looks great, okay? So, all right. So go ahead. I'm going to take you into the full pose. I'm come into child's pose. Do the same thing. Okay, so stretch your arms, straighten your arms, spread your fingers, press your hands down. Good. Broaden your shoulders. Okay, good. That's pretty good. Okay, good. Now don't change anything. Come on up onto your hands and knees. Tuck your toes into the ground. Lift your, don't move your hands. Lift your knees and hips up and back to downward dog. Okay, so this is it's the going into downward dog where it starts to get tricky now. And this is why Carolina spent so much time with Lilia saying, go slow back into downward facing dog. Because as soon as you start to go back, you start to see she loses that and the whole chest collapses. Okay, so come to plank pose. Let's do what Carolina was doing, okay? So now here, right, what are we going to ask her to do?
Straight arms.
Straighten the arms and broaden the chest, okay? Broaden your chest and now take your shoulder blades more together onto your back. Good, now press down to your index and your thumb. Okay, now when you go back into down dog, Heather, go really slow, don't lose that. Good. That's it, keep your chest broad, keep your shoulders broad, that's it, release your head, let your neck up, that's it. And just go to the point where you can maintain that. Don't go beyond the point where you can't maintain that. Okay, now she's going to press down her index and her thumb. That's it. Keep broadening your shoulders. Broadening. Now I'm doing an assist, okay, a little bit. Okay, and now stretch the sides of your waist up. Stretch your hips up, lift your hips up. Press your thighs back. Good.
Her hands are a little bit too close.
Are those too close? Yeah, maybe. They're not too close for me. I think part of what it is that what we could have removed